Hey guys, JB here from Alpha Wolf Consulting, and welcome to Applied Psychological Engineering. This is a series where we're going to cover how to use psychological engineering to overcome any challenges or any problems that you may have, anything like that. So today's session or lecture is going to cover overcoming addiction. So I'm going to talk to you and explain to you in detail what addiction is and how we overcome addiction, and then basically give you the framework of psychological engineering in terms of addiction. So, I'm going to teach you how I used psychological engineering to re engineer myself out of addictions. So it's pretty important to understand there are three kinds of addictions or three dimensions of any addiction. There is my psychological addiction. So, like, you could think of a psychological addiction as when I go out to a restaurant and they use extra butter, I create this psychological craving and I say that the food is more delicious when I go there. So I create this addiction to the additional butter, but I don't know it's the additional butter. So I'm creating a psychological addiction to the either establishment or the food. So fast food and all of that predicate a lot around psychological addiction. Do you sort of get it? And then there's emotional addiction. So emotional addiction could be I had like I'll give you my one. So like I grew up with very low self-worth issues and basically being convinced that who I was not a good person. So that led me to formulating a addiction to sex. Do you sort of get it? Because what I sought was closeness and connection, and the only way to get that was through sex, or the easiest way to get that was through sex. Like, do you sort of get it? So, like, sex addiction, it's like, let's just say this, like, standards don't exist. Do you sort of get it? Because it's not about the person, it's not about the quality, it's about like that's a way to fill a certain void. Do you sort of get it? So we understand with all forms of addiction, these are just unconscious behavioral patterns. So a sex addiction is I wanted people to love me. I couldn't, like people in my environment wouldn't do that. So I created a way, to fulfill that need. So there are many, many different ways this can come about. Other ways are through substances. I can't deal with emotional trauma of my past. I repress that emotional trauma and try to forget about it. And then that emotional trauma manifests itself in a behavioral pattern or an unconscious behavioral pattern that is usually addictive. So think of addiction as coping behaviors or coping mechanisms. Do you sort of get it? So our body and our mind crave biochemical responses. So when I crave connection with others, I'm craving, you know, um, what would it be? Um, well, in part, it'd be dopamine for the satisfaction of achievement or doing something. But oxytocin would be the connection one. So just realize like our body naturally produces these um, chemical compounds, but also there are artificial ways to get them. So dopamine can come from tobacco, it can come from alcohol, it can come from foods, it can come from, do you sort of get it? Video games, it can come from alcohol, drugs, so we just understand our body is craving these baseline sort of chemical compounds, and it can either incentivize it through like behavior of inducing or incentivizing you to consume specific things, or it can do it in an emotional way where it's incentivizing you into emotional states to release those chemical compounds. Do you sort of get it? So I'm either going to crave to consume something that releases dopamine if I'm craving dopamine, or if I'm craving serotonin. So, like, for example, if I'm craving serotonin, like, I'll start craving really sweet things. Do you sort of get it? Like, I'll start craving bad food and things like that. So we're starting to understand that addiction, okay, addiction itself is either corruption or perversion of a psychological state. So, like, I associate that the restaurant's foods taste better, and then I create a psychological association that that means I'm happier. You know, I create more emotional meaning, or I put additional emotional meaning on that food. And then basically, I'm creating this psychological perversion to what I'm really craving is like high caloric, high butter foods. Do you sort of get it? So, like, while I'm creating this psychological belief that it's this restaurant's food that I really, really like, what I'm actually doing is I'm associating high fat, high butter foods as being highly desirable. So now, as discipline goes, and the craving starts to grow because it's psychological. I'm always thinking about it. I'm always reminding myself about it. So then what happens is then I start to lean more towards fast food and things like that. Do you sort of get it? Towards more unhealthy foods. So we just understand in food addictions, this is in part how it happens. The other part is the emotional addiction, which releases the biochemicals. So food makes them feel safe, food makes them feel good, food makes them feel connected. Like, do you sort of get it? So, like, realize this when we're thinking about addiction, like, we're just thinking about habitual behavioral patterns. That's it. So, like, a psychological addiction with food is just becoming addicted to a negative aspect of food, or taking a positive aspect of food and consuming it in a way that is detrimental. Do you sort of get it? And then emotional ones are where I'm associating emotions and meaning to the behavior. And what that does is now every time I want to feel connection, every time I want to feel, loved, I go straight to the food because psychologically my brain knows it's the easiest pattern, or it's the strongest like synaptic pathway for me to follow. So rather than me thinking, oh, I should go out and connect with other people, it's like I could do that, but I don't know if I'm going to get the results if I do that. But I know if I eat food, like let's say McDonald's, I know I'm going to feel good after. Like, do you sort of get it? So we get stuck in these ego traps where our ego is convincing us that there is nothing outside of the habitual behavioral pattern that we're in. And that's the third aspect is behavior and habit. So think about it like this. Our brain is predicated to create systems and structures for efficiency and then to overinvest into the efficiency of the most predominant ones. So if every time I feel sad, I eat food, I drink alcohol, I smoke a cigarette, I do drugs, I connect with someone purely for sex. Like, what I'm doing is I'm reinforcing that as the association between overcoming that feeling and sort of that behavior. So I'm creating a trained, conditioned behavior to this is just how we deal with it. This is how we cope with it. So when we're starting to understand this in the behavioral side of it, it's just like we've taught ourselves the wrong ways to deal with and process emotional trauma and psychological trauma to the point where we're sort of naturally counterproductive. Do you sort of get it? So, like when I repress emotions in the short term, like everything looks good. In the long term, it always erodes and corrupts because everything I'm building is on a foundation of suppression. So once that suppression gives way, everything crumbles. So, what we understand in psychological engineering and the process I created within psychological engineering to deal with this is instead of like when I get the instinct to suppress an emotion, I lean into it and I allow myself to feel the depths of that emotion. And then I amplify it to what I can perceive as being the worst. And I drop that foundation well below the surface level, well below the earth, and I build my foundation like I would a skyscraper from underneath on solid bedrock. So when I've experienced the negative emotion, so like for example, one of them for me was PTSD around the fear of violence, because when I was, between the ages of 8 and 16, well, not 16, 14, like 40, 50-year-old men on the street would threaten to kill me. And it was only because I got away that I am speaking to you today. Like, do you sort of get it? So, like, what that did is that conditioned into me a fear response of whenever I'm outside, I have to be highly focused on violence. Like, do you sort of get it? So, like, if I step outside my door, like my body goes into an instinctual muscle positioning of ready for an attack. Like, do you sort of get it? Like, of a responsiveness. So, like, when we understand this, when I was repressing that, well, now I have anger issues because I have all this repressed anger and I don't know why it's here. So I snap. I pretend everything's all good and then I just blow up. Do you sort of get it? So, like, what we understand from that is if I'm unwilling to face the, the darkness or what causes fear within me, because, like, for example, when a 50-year-old dude is threatening to kill you when you're 8, like, you don't really have much chance to defend yourself. Do you sort of get it? So what that causes is that causes a very, very specific psychological like state, like of helplessness. Do you sort of get it? And when I don't address that, I overcompensate that for that. So when I was 16, I taught myself how to kill people. Like I taught myself uh, about 3 different martial arts, and I studied every military and learned very specific techniques they use to kill people. Do you sort of get it? Because I never wanted to feel helpless. Do you sort of get it? And then I worked out and I built muscle development and I became really good at fighting to the point where people don't fight me. Do you sort of get it? And it's not that like when I say that I'm really good at fighting, it's that I'm fighting across multiple dimensions. So there's strategic, there's tactical. Do you sort of get it? There's psychological. So like if I don't, for example, like let's say I was in the same room with a UFC fighter, right? One of the best in the world, the top UFC fighter. Like, evidently, like, there's no day under the sun that I win in a direct confrontation. Do you sort of get it? So, understanding the dimensions of fighting is understanding positioning. That should I position myself in a place of vulnerability, I'm not going to provoke an attack. Do you sort of get it? So, like, I'm not going to put myself next to someone who, you know, can kill me in three blows, more than likely. Do you sort of get it? And then overcompensate and try and like boast that I'm fucking better than them. Like, do you sort of get it? Like, in no way would I want to be provoking them. In every way, I would want to be moving around them. Do you sort of get it? Because I have to draw them out of their strength before I can attack them. I have to reposition myself to their vulnerability. Do you sort of get it? And the easiest way to do that is when someone doesn't perceive an attack. If they're looking at me, sizing me up, expecting me to attack them, then what would happen is like they're looking for opportunity to attack. Do you get it? When someone doesn't perceive a threat, they cease looking for the opportunity to attack because they've already cataloged their what they're going to do. So you lull people into a false perception of superiority, which allows them to go, this is how I would deal with that situation and never think of it again. While every moment and every day I'm watching every one of their actions, thinking about it. Do you sort of get it? So it's like I lull you into self-regulating and self-limiting around me. Do you sort of get it? So like just understand that. Like when we're facing these like emotional trauma and things like that, like everything I just said to you, like that's not the right approach. Do you sort of get it? If I want to be the best fighter, if I want to propagate PTSD into like fucking combat skills, like I can do that. PTSD is like it's a heightened stress state, but a lot of people don't understand how to deal with the heightened stress state. So it's a really heightened stress state where your mind never shuts down around fears of violence and threat. So like no matter where I go, like life has taught me, I always have to constantly look around me. Because when I was a child, every time I didn't pay attention to my surroundings, someone would like be next to me because I wasn't paying attention and they'd be threatening to kill me. Do you sort of get it? And then I had to react. So, like, I was conditioned to always being aware of my environment so that, like, for example, like, I'm always aware of someone's intentions before they're coming. But, like, for example, when you go to a a shopping center or a mall, that's fucking stressful. Like when there's 1,000 guys in front of you, like, and you got PTSD, you've got to calculate how, one, you would take down each and every one of them should they go against you. Two, take down small groups should small groups be in there that are going against you. Or three, take down everyone if everyone goes against you. Like, do you sort of get it? And you're going through and you're doing this, and all these, like, psychologically, all of this is happening. Emotionally, you're going through all these emotions, and then behaviorally, you're trying to repress like your instinct to attack. Do you sort of get it? But it's all fear response. Like that's the important thing. It's all fear response. So like when we think of our addictions, if I'm not creating a specific psychological addiction, so a psychological addiction is a conscious or a convincing language pattern like an ego-based response or Macca's tastes good. We know Macca's doesn't taste good. Tastes good for a moment, then makes you feel like shit. Do you sort of get it? But that's an ego addiction because I'm convincing myself consciously that like I desire this product or service or I desire this food or whatever. Do you sort of get it? So, like, for example, if I'm egotistical and insecure, and then I propagate that actually I have PTSD, like it's not PTSD. Like, do you sort of get it? Like, I'm going into environments, and then because of my insecurity and arrogance, I'm creating an environment where the environment doesn't like me. And then I'm acting like I'm always under threat. Like, do you sort of get it? So it's very important that we understand like psychological trauma and psychological addiction is all ego-based. It will always be a convincing argument from the ego. And then my unconscious. So think about it like this. An easy way to break it up is think about trigger points for addiction. So do I get an idea that I want to go out and have a beer? And the longer I sit with that idea, the more I desire it? Or do I get the idea that I want a beer and I realized 3 seconds ago I started drinking? Do you sort of get it? So a conscious addiction is one that have to self-generate through conscious focus. So like I constantly see, for example, McDonald's ads on Facebook, and that leads me to then craving a McDonald's product. That's a conscious addiction. Do you sort of get it? It's consciously triggered. An unconscious addiction is an addiction that happens within emotion or behavior unconsciously. So, in the moment of me getting the thought, there's an instant urge and desire to get it, and I'm already moving towards it. So, it's like, think about it like this. Like, if you're at home and you've got a small amount of food left, no problem. You'll go grocery shopping when you go grocery shopping. But the moment you're at home and you're hungry and there's no food there, well, then you're out the door going grocery shopping because to you, it's highly important. It's very meaningful. Do you sort of get it? This is one of the psychological traps of unconscious addiction or emotional or behavioral addiction is that like it's convinced as a need, like it's a necessity, like breathing. So, like, we understand the psychological addiction reinforces the unconscious addiction because the unconscious addiction is just the emotion triggering the biochemical state or the biochemical response, and then the habitual or behavioral, like, conditioning. So, without either of those, it doesn't exist. Do you sort of get it? But the psychological addiction is when I'm always thinking about it. So for example, like me personally, like if I'm always prevalent and predominantly around high violence, high stress situations. Like if I watch a lot of military shows, if I watch military movies, if I'm watching violence, if I'm, talking about violence, if I'm witnessing violence, if I'm listening to aggressive or angry music, like I'm reinforcing consciously like that state within me. So of course I wouldn't feel at peace. Do you sort of get it? So our psychological addiction is when we're reinforcing behaviors or activities that negatively take from us. So like for example, I really like war movies. Like, do you get it? I really like them. But like when I'm watching them, I'm now saying killing is justified and okay. The more I sit in that environment, the more I'm gonna have urges to kill people. Like, do you get it? So like I'm psychologically reconditioning myself to believing this is okay. Whereas the state I want to be in is one of peace and one of love and one of, like collaboration. Do you sort of get it? So what we're understanding is to overcome these addictions, I need to deal with the emotion that's causing me to seek. Do you sort of get it? Like, because when I'm repressing emotional, like when I'm repressing that, like people don't love me, and I'm not facing that or dealing with that, and I'm seeking love within other people through sex, like I'm just creating fuel for the fire. because the more I want to repress it, the more I need to seek. That's what creates the compulsiveness to the behavior. Do you get it? It's like with drugs chasing the dragon. The more I try to chase the high, the more, do you sort of get it? So when I'm repressing something, I'm sort of like unconsciously instigating a seeking. Do you sort of get it? So, like, to remove that seeking, I have to remove the repression emotionally. Do you get it? But I have to change language as well. So, an important thing to realize is like need and want are psychological triggers. If I want something, it doesn't matter if I have it or not. If I need something, like it's really important that I have it. So a lot of people, like I did this. Do you sort of get it? I need connection in others. Do you sort of get it? Like I need to relax. If I want to relax and I can't relax, emotionally, it's no big deal. If I need to relax and I can't relax, well, now I am actually losing in life because what I need, I can't have. So it's this psychological trap that creates compulsive and addictive behavioral patterns because like when I need the nicotine hit, well, now I'm going to start smoking every hour. Do you sort of get it? And I'm just doing this chain of like this chain reaction of habitual things. If I just want to smoke when I want to smoke, like I might smoke once and then smoke in 2 or 3 hours or 6 hours or 10 hours. Do you sort of get it? So like in understanding this, it's just understanding the emotional attachment. We attach more emotions to what we need than what we want. Do you sort of get it? Like, but the psychological sort of amplifier is when I get what I need, I'm getting the base level. That's what creates the psychological craving and the addictive behavior. When I get what I want, it amplifies my emotional state. So if I want to smoke weed and I allow myself to smoke weed, I'm now feeling more amplified than if I need to smoke weed and I'm allowing myself to smoke weed. Now I'm at a base level. Do you sort of get it? Why am I doing the behavior? What is the behavior? Do you sort of get it? Like, what is the behavior's purpose? Because like behavior is just enacted intention. Do you get it? So that's why, like, when I say addiction, like, addiction is just unconscious behavior or conscious behavior manifesting in a self-destructive or self-detriment way, if that's the word, detrimental. Do you sort of get it? So, like, for example, should I like to drink alcohol? Like, if I get enjoyment every time I drink, if the relationships and those people around me aren't affected by the way in which I drink and how I drink, then it wouldn't be detrimental to my health. I would not so much my health, but to my lifestyle or the healthiness of my lifestyle, it would actually be a positive. Just like, for example, with food, we all think that like health is the goal. So we all are eating food to optimize longevity of health. But it actually, the food we don't like as much as the other food. So now what happens is we're having to do something that we don't want to do. So we're forcing ourselves into suffering. Do you sort of get it? Where I'm not eating what I want to do, I'm not getting as much enjoyment. And now what happens is it's every time I have that psychological break where I can't handle it anymore, I go on a binge, a bender. I get off the wagon. So what we want to do is we want to even that out and identify what are acceptable behaviors and things to consume and what are unacceptable. And it's for each individual, but like it's important to really understand like we're looking long term. What is good for me long term? Do you sort of get it? Like my granddad smoked until he was like 78 or 82 or whenever he died. Like, do you sort of get it? My grandma died earlier of pancreatic cancer. Do you sort of get it? Like sometimes like you can live because my grandma like didn't drink, didn't smoke, ate healthy. Do you get it? Like you can't optimize your lifestyle for longevity because sometimes, like the fella Brian, whatever his name is from Blueprint, who now has a terminal disease and he's dying because his immune system's compromised. But basically, if you optimize for longevity, like sometimes your life gets cut short. So you should optimize for what is best for you. Do you sort of get it? So when we're trying to remove addiction, we're understanding that addiction is behavioral patterns and habits. If I'm addicted to gambling, or if I'm someone who is I don't know, someone who likes gambling, what's the difference? Well, if I'm addicted to gambling, like I'm always doing it. Like, do you get it? It's an unconscious need that goes beyond what is healthy to my lifestyle. So we just have to understand, like, if we're trying to alter a behavioral pattern, we have to have a new behavioral pattern for it to go to. Otherwise, we just feel like we're just sitting around doing nothing. Do you sort of get it? So, like, for example, how this works. For me personally, if I have weed, I'll smoke weed. If I don't have weed, I'll smoke tobacco. If I don't have tobacco, I'll drink coffee. Like, do you sort of get it? It's just preferences. So, like, I'll just keep going through different habits rather than, you know, like, like we'll always do that. Like, because, like, for example, like, it's what I like to do when I relax. Do you sort of get it? So, like, if I don't have weed, I like to smoke cigarettes. If I don't have cigarettes, I like to drink coffee. Like, if I'm going to sit around doing nothing, do you sort of get it? Because, like, rather than watch TV, rather than do this or that, like, if we're gonna do nothing, like, what are we gonna do? Do you sort of get it? So it's the same with health and your, like food and things like that. Like, if you had an addiction to junk food or highly processed food or high fat foods or high saturated, like salts and things like that. Do you sort of get it? Like eating that food becomes unhealthy or unsustainable, then it starts to become detrimental to where it's taking away from your health. But if it's something that is done in conjunction with what is best for you in your view of your life, like the entirety of your life, do you sort of get it? Like, if you're thinking about living to be 180, well, you can never have a steak. But if you're thinking, like, I want to enjoy my life, and if I get 80, 90 years, like, that's a good life. Like, I want to have fun, I want to enjoy it, then, like, having a steak is no dramas. Do you sort of get it? So, like, when we try and look too short term at getting gains and change now, like, if I'm trying to be, if I'm an alcoholic and I'm trying not to be an alcoholic and I'm looking at it in the short term, well, I have to give up alcohol and then I have to be clean every day for the rest of my life. No, like I have to learn how to behave with myself, either with alcohol or realize alcohol just isn't that important in life to me. Do you sort of get it? Like I either have to learn how to control myself with it, or I have to just realize it's not for me. So, like, if I don't need something, it's irrelevant to me. If I don't want something, I have to make sure I don't see it again. I have to make sure I avoid it. This is another psychological um, trigger or um, like point that if I don't want something, it is my life's actually better that I let go of it. Or no, if I don't need something, my life's better if I let go of it. It's dead weight. But if I don't want something, I'm saying to myself, I never want to experience that again. If I don't want bad service, I become hyper vigilant towards service. If I don't want the threat, if I don't want violence to be taken against me, I become hyper vigilant to violence. So, what I don't want in life, I create a psychological trigger in my unconscious mind to focus on that. So, I'm always looking at the tree, trying to avoid it in the crash. And unconsciously, I'm leading myself towards the tree. Do you sort of get it? So, like, understand that I don't need things, but I want things. Do you get it? I don't want to need something, but I want something. For example, in love, if I need a partner, that is codependency. That is an unconscious addiction towards companionship. Do you sort of get it? So, like, but if I want a partner, like, that's because like I am so much as I am, and they bring in so much as they are. And together we become more. Do you sort of get it? Like if I want a partner and I cannot have a partner, like it's okay. Do you sort of get it? Like if we live out in the middle of nowhere and it's only your family, like and there's only sisters around, like I'm not playing genetic lottery. Do you sort of get it? Like, I'll just realize, like, that's not an aspect of life that I want anymore. Do you sort of get it? We all have choices. Some people would jump into that genetic lottery and see if they can't make a deity. But if we start to understand this, what we start to understand is that I should, I should never, I should never need anything or want to need anything, but I should always want to need nothing. Do you sort of get it? So, like, I'm always wanting, but I'm never needing. And that's really important because when we understand this, it's this psychological trigger of understanding and redefining these meanings that is applied to everything. If I don't want a cheater, everyone I'm in a relationship with, like, I have to become hyper vigilant to they're not a cheater. If I don't need a cheater in my life, should you show me you're a cheater? See you later. Like, do you sort of get it? So, like, it's different emotional meaning. So, when we understand this psychologically, when we're building relationships with food, when we're building relationships with substances, when we're building relationships with others, we don't understand these psychological triggers and we create unconscious addictions. Do you sort of get it? Unconscious manifestations of behavioral patterns that are either positive or negative. Like I get highly obsessive in anything I do. To me, that's positive. Do you sort of get it? Other people would say that's negative, but it's an addiction nonetheless. Addiction is just how much of my time or meaning I assign to something. So, like, if I'm addicted to heroin, I put high value on heroin, even at the detriment of myself. The way to change that is then I'm lowering the meaning and value of heroin and I'm increasing the value of self. Now, in studies in addictions in Europe, I think Switzerland, Netherlands, or France, they actually did this in terms of heroin addiction and cocaine addiction, where they made it a health sort of problem rather than a criminal problem. So rather than it being them, the addicted people, rather than them being deviant parts of a system or like a deviation within the system, it was treated as like a not incomplete, but basically a lack of emotional connection or social connection or relationships and things like that. So rather than trying to treat the addiction, they supplied whatever amount the person wanted. The person had to take it there, so they couldn't sell it. And then basically all they focused their time on was treating the like employment. So basically all of the employers understood that these participants were in this program and they weren't able to basically like take negative action against them for this addiction. So they knew that these people were going, getting their heroin, coming to work, doing their job, going on their day. And they focused on improving work life, improving their social and relationships, and then improving their connection to their communities. And what they found was that people who feel connected like to their community, people who feel connected to their relationships around them, people that feel connected to their work, they have lower tendencies for like addictive behavioral patterns or tendencies because the value that they have internally is that like my relationships are what make me feel good. Do you know what I mean? My community makes me feel good. My work makes me feel good. So we understand when we have deterioration of those, we have increase in addiction. And when we treat those within others and increase those within others, the tendency for addictive behavioral patterns goes down. And then what is replaced is preference. So when I don't need to smoke because of stress, do I enjoy smoking or do I not enjoy smoking? If the answer is yes, I enjoy smoking, then it's how do I want to move forward smoking? Do you know what I mean? Within bounds and means, within moderation. Do you get it? That's what we're trying to work towards when we're overcoming addiction, is we're learning how to self-regulate moderation, how to do something either healthy or to realize it's not a part of your life. So, like for example, alcohol. I used to drink and like I only drank to be drunk. Like I only drank alcohol to be drunk. So I wanted to be blackout drunk. Do you sort of get it? Because I thought it was fun. I thought it was the funnest thing in the world to power spew while I was drunk. It made me laugh like nothing. So I would scull 1 liter of alcohol in 8 seconds. Like, do you sort of get it? I would drink high volumes of alcohol, like in the liters. Like, do you sort of get it? Like, but that's self-destructive behavior because it's artificial fun. It's a negative psychological pervasion or perverseness to where what I'm associating as fun is actually my un inability to one, face emotional problems and things like that, but two, like because I don't value who I am, like I'm going to take self-destructive behaviors. Like, do you sort of get it? Because, like, it's an internal rebellion to, like, the worth that I view myself as. So we just understand that, like, what we're understanding is that, like, if I deal with the internal, my emotional states, my psychological state, my behavioral states, like, I'm altering my internal state of being to being one of peace and harmony. When I value who I am and I value myself, well, I really value the activities and actions that I do. Do you sort of get it? Like, if I value who I am, well, for me personally, like giving up alcohol wasn't easy. It wasn't difficult. It was the easiest thing I ever did. Like the reason is like if it got to the point where if I had a six pack of beer, like I'd piss myself. If I fell asleep within 24 hours of drinking alcohol, I would piss myself because my brain was that conditioned to alcohol means blackout drunk, means you always piss yourself. Do you sort of get it? So literally, like I conditioned myself to piss the bed. Like that is so funny. So like we understand like this is how behavioral conditioning happens and behavioral association conditioning. My unconscious mind associated consumption of alcohol to mean inability to manage bodily functions, like, and then basically like would just piss myself because there was that many well, not consecutive, but that many times that I got that drunk that I pissed myself that basically my brain said when you go to sleep, don't worry about waking. Do you know what I mean? Just fucking just piss here, mate. So like for me it was like it was a piece of piss to give up piss, to give up alcohol. Because all I had to do was like choose. Do I want to piss myself? Do I not want to piss myself? If I don't want to piss myself, it's a pretty easy decision. Like life gives us those choices, be it in the form of diabetes. Do I want to lose my leg? Do I want to eat a donut? Do you know what I mean? Be it in the form of cirrhosis of the liver. Do I want to drink alcohol or do I want to live? Like, it's just like your body gets to that point. Do you sort of get it? So just realize that, like, for me, breaking that behavior, like, it wasn't like there was three levels. So there was the psychological of this is what I've conditioned myself to always doing. That's how I thought what fun was. That's what I thought fun was. Do you know what I mean? The emotional, that's where I got all my source of connection from. It's where I met people. That's where I hung out. That's where I had fun. Do you sort of get it? And then there's the behavioral, because I'd been doing it for so many years. It was just second nature that that's what you did. If I wanted to have fun, I'd go to the pub. Like, do you sort of get it? I'd just go get blackout drunk. Like, do you sort of get it? So, like, we just understand we're just changing those. So, the first thing we change is the psychological, where we start redefining from rather than me going out and drinking being fun to now me going out and hiking is the one that I used. So I changed the behavior from drinking to hiking. Do you sort of get it? It works best if we have another behavior to change to. So if I quit smoking, I'll start chewing gum. Do you know what I mean? I need something to do. Like it's just a habit, a behavior. So we understand this that I'm going to feel uncomfortable when I'm changing behaviors because my synaptic pathways are changing. So I want to make myself as comfortable through the change. Do you sort of get it? So like for example, when I gave up drinking, like I started eating more. Like, do you sort of get it? And like I ate more candy, because that was one of the ways of incentivizing myself not to drink alcohol while I altered the psychological and the emotional and the behavioral changes. Do you sort of get it? So, like, however you want to do it, like, I wouldn't suggest candy, but it's easiest to have other behaviors and then have incentive structures within those behaviors. Do you sort of get it? Because I'm incentivizing myself into it. So, like, for example, when I diet, I diet on no animal product or animal fat because fat is 100% efficacy to turning into fat. Carbs are an 80 to a 60 to an 80% efficacy rate to turn into fat. Do you sort of get it? So the deal is I can eat as much carbs as I want, but I can't have animal fat. Like, do you sort of get it? So like, how do we alter behavior? How do we change the behavior? How do we psychologically reinforce the behavior that we want through incentivization? So, like a really good one is mindfulness. So in mindfulness practices, they talk about, you're trying to become aware and present of everything that is around you and everything that is going on. But it's like this, like when I was transferring drinking to hiking, it's like every time I went out hiking, I made it a special occasion, that it was something special that I was doing with myself, for myself. Like, do you sort of get it? Like, I made it an event for myself, and it adds meaning and emotion to it. Do you sort of get it? So I'm using psychological, uh, like, psychological conditioning to understand how to reinforce the positive behavior. So, one second. Uh, what's happening? I know, yeah. Oh, no, it's okay. What's happening? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 I can be there for me. Yeah, 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 I'll finish up your, yeah. All right, sorry about that. So, as I was saying, when we're trying to use psychological, like, conditioning, or our psychological sort of focus, because if you think about it like this, like, I'm using psychological structures, okay? So when we're understanding addiction, right? So we have the four dimensions of self within psychological engineering. So there's the conscious mind, the unconscious mind, the body or the heart, so my physical sensation. So when I smoke, that endorphin rush that makes me feel good. When I drink or I'm drunk, that endorphin rush that makes me feel good. And the conscious awareness. So even when I drink, I know that there's, like, that it's not the right thing. So what we're understanding is that these are the dimensions in which we're utilizing across the conscious mind, the unconscious mind, and the physical body, how we're changing it through the higher consciousness. Like, do you sort of get it? So, like, addiction will exist within the conscious mind, the unconscious mind, and all of that, but it can't exist within the higher consciousness. Do you sort of get it? So, like, the state in which we do any personal development or any development of self is from the higher consciousness. So when we're thinking about addiction like that, like, it's sort of like this. I could have egotistically pretended, like probably a lot of people do, when alcohol makes them piss themselves. Like, do you sort of get it? Like, I could have egotistically or insecurely pretended like I didn't have a problem. Like, do you sort of get it? I just took it as a behavioral signal that this wasn't a good behavior anymore. Like, it wasn't enjoyable. Do you sort of get it? So, like, the only way I can access that state of non-ego is through the breaking or the shattering of the ego, in terms of facing it and then just looking at the truth and admitting the truth and letting go to all the illusions and all of that. Do you sort of get it? So, like, what we understand is that, like, I can only self reflect from a position outside of myself. I can't self reflect as myself because myself exists in the present moment. When I'm thinking of the past, when I'm projecting in the future, I'm entering a state outside of myself, and that is the higher consciousness. So we start to understand that to become or to overcome any addiction, like first I have to remove the ego. Do you sort of get it? In the conscious mind, in terms of I have to be able to say, if I was an alcoholic and I wanted to give up alcohol, I would have to say to myself that alcohol is not good for me anymore. Like, do you sort of get it? So I have to break that ego and admit that truth to myself. And that allows me to now expand outside of that. Alternatively, if I'm unable to admit to myself that alcohol is not good for me, like I'm stuck in this box of the ego. Do you sort of get it? Where I'm creating self-limitation around the like ego's belief that like this is what I want. Do you sort of get it? So we first have to break that belief. So I have to, like for example, like I had anger issues. Like, do you sort of get it? So like I had to admit I had anger issues. Otherwise, like those anger issues don't exist to me, irrespective of what anyone else says. Like, do you sort of get it? That's how we behave. So like we have to self-admit that like should I have anger issues? Well, yeah, I have anger issues. Now I'm able to expand and deal with them and become more than just that cage of anger is how I deal with situations or problems. Do you sort of get it? The conscious mind is the first part we work on. And we break that belief of that illusion of the ego that the problem doesn't exist. And we admit the problem. We speak it into existence. We become aware of it. And like an important thing to realize is in your unconscious mind, in your reptilian brain is the reticular activation system. So, like this system, when you speak, okay, when you name things, when you point, it focuses and memorizes. So when I say to myself, yeah, I have anger issues, I have now activated my reticular activation system to now becoming hyper alert to outbursts of anger. So it becomes far easier for me to see the problem in my behavior in real time. So I'm speaking the intention of what I want my unconscious mind to show me. And then my unconscious mind and conscious mind will make me more present in all of those situations. Do you sort of get it? So, like, we're starting to understand that when we're working on the unconscious mind, so the conscious mind, okay, is ego based. The unconscious mind is emotion based. Do you sort of get it? And then the body is triggered by the heart or the emotional state. So your biochemical responses are either a response to a change within your heartbeat and heart rate, or it's a change within your emotional state. So we just understand like if I'm wanting to alter my biochemical state, then what happens is I can alter my physicality of my heart rate, my body movement, which will alter my biochemical state, or I can alter my emotional state, which will alter my biochemical state. So when we start to understand this, we start to see the levers rather than me having unconscious behavioral patterns, okay, and sort of substances and things like that. Like I'm now able to use physicality and emotionality to control my biochemical responses. Do you sort of get it? So, like when I feel disconnected, I allow myself to feel connected. When I'm seeking love, I allow myself to feel love. When I'm seeking peace, I allow myself to feel peace. And then I cease seeking it. Do you sort of get it? Rather than looking external and saying, I need love, so I need to find someone to give me love. When I seek love, I give it to myself through either the alteration of my emotional state or through physicality. Do you get it? Like if I rub my face, if I rub my arm, I can simulate like a certain state. Do you get it? Like our body is pretty much a sensory organ. So, like, we start to understand this that I can artificially self manipulate my biochemical states through my physical touch on my body. So, like, I can do like altering my physical state through energetic states. So our hands are broadcasters. Do you know what I mean? That's why like when you touch someone or when someone touches you, you feel this energy. Do you sort of get it? When you touch a dead body, it feels like stiff, lifeless. Like, does that make sense? So like there's an energetic frequency that our hands give out. So I can use my hands upon different chakras to then transfer energy or activate those systems. Now that's a bit more advanced, but when we're understanding this, we're just starting to understand that if I want to alter my sort of conscious mind, unconscious mind, my body or heart, there's five aspects of experience that we can do with it. So, like, we experience consciously through psychological structures and through hierarchies of meaning. So, like, a psychological structure is alcohol. Do you sort of get it? Like, it's a way of individualizing or descripting or itemizing something in reality. When I look out, I have to pick out the different things. Otherwise, everything's a sea of one. Do you sort of get it? So, like our brain will look to describe what is around us by itemizing and systemizing everything, and then it assigns meaning to it. So, like a psychological structure is alcohol, and the hierarchy of meaning is the meaning you put behind alcohol. Do you sort of get it? So, like when we're altering the conscious addiction, we're redefining psychological structures and hierarchies of meaning. Do you sort of get it? And these allow us, the psychological structures and hierarchies of meaning are what allow us to influence or manipulate the emotional state through memory association. Do you sort of get it? So, like the conscious mind, the unconscious mind, the heart, the body, like it's all linked. So my heart can affect my conscious thought. My heart can affect my unconscious emotional states. My unconscious emotional states can affect my heart. My unconscious emotional states can affect my conscious thought. Like, do you sort of get it? So, like, they're all linked with these bridges or these gateways in. And when we understand that, we understand how to transfer a psychological structure into an emotional state. Do you sort of get it? And that's what we're doing with psychological engineering when we are overcoming addiction, is simply put, we are creating a unified sort of understanding psychologically on the addiction. And then we're creating the emotional understanding on the addiction, i.e., if I'm seeking oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, do you know what I mean? Like I'm creating an emotional state to be able to fulfill that need. Do you sort of get it? I'm creating a psychological structure and hierarchies of meaning to reinforce consciously those unconscious emotional states. Do you sort of get it? And the strength of those unconscious emotional states is the sort of biochemical response. So, a thing to think about this is you see a man in a magazine with a gun pointed at you, it might create some form of instinctual fear. You see a man standing 500 meters in front of you pointing a gun at you, it will create a different level of instinctual fear. You see a man 1 meter away from you pointing a gun at you. Like, do you sort of get it? Like, nothing in that changed except the man's position to you. Do you get it? So, like, your mind is determining emotions or trying to determine emotions based upon like a relative structure, but there is no relative structure. Like, do you sort of get it? Because if you knew that man wanted to kill you and there was a history there, the photo in the magazine, like, it holds far greater meaning than if there is no history there. Do you sort of get it? So, like, you're trying to create meaning for emotional responses and instincts and behaviors that doesn't exist because your unconscious mind doesn't have access to logic or reason. So the fear you feel, you cannot control or measure. Do you get it? Like it might be a bit here, a bit there. Might be a lot for this, a little for that. Like there's no rationale or reason. That's one of the illusions of it. So when we understand this, we understand emotions don't have access to logic or reason. Do you sort of get it? So we treat emotions as illogical. Not to say that emotions don't have value because they hold no logic, but emotions don't exist within the bounds of logic. So, like, if I feel a bit of fear, if I feel like extreme fear, like there's no difference. My mind doesn't understand the difference. Do you sort of get it? It's running off cues. Does that make sense? So we just understand this. I can manipulate that illogicality to sort of benefit me in the sense that, well, if I want to feel love, if I feel 1% of love, if I feel 1,000% of love, there's no logical reason. So there's no logical reason that says I can't feel 1,000% of love when I put my hand on my heart. Like, do you sort of get it? Just to the same, when I see a man pointing a gun at me, I can suppress my fear. I don't have to feel fear. Do you sort of get it? So overcoming insecurity and overcoming the ego is suppressing the fear response that that ego is trying to activate within you. Do you sort of get it? So we do that through understanding the psychological structures and the hierarchies of meaning to have a conscious framework of understanding how the unconscious is influenced. And then we understand memory association and our emotional states. So if we think about it like this, my psychological structure gives definition to what I see. My hierarchy of meaning gives meaning and value to what I see. Do you sort of get it? That meaning and value is translated into like a sort of memory. So could be, I remember someone else doing this. I remember someone else seeing this, speaking of this, whatever it is. I remember like whatever it is, like however your memory association works. Sometimes it will work on structure and format. Sometimes it'll work randomly. Sometimes I think of a polar bear and then I get the answer to my idea. Like, do you sort of get it? The memory triggered it. Like, do you sort of get it? So I think of memory association as being physical memory recall in terms of physically associating a hierarchy of meaning to a specific memory, or it is the memory categorization and organization. So my memory association. So there might have been a picture of a polar bear on the wall of the classroom when I heard that word and I was looking at that polar bear. And my unconscious mind has associated that memory of that picture of that polar bear to that information. So this is how memory storage happens within our mind. Do you sort of get it? So, like in memory association, like there's the physical memory of if someone did something, took negative action against me, and I'm associating that negative action to the memory of that person, or the memory of that negative action to that person. Do you know what I mean? I want it to be a direct link to when I think of that person or when I think of that memory, both pieces of information are there. But in other senses, it is based on emotional states. It's based on imagery, audio, visual stimulation, sensory stimulation. Was it hot? Was it cold? Do you sort of get it? So, like, our strongest memory recall is our olfactory, which is our sense of smell. You smell someone cooking biscuits and you identify that they're using the exact same recipe that your grandma used, and you remember sitting there 50 years ago in her kitchen, listening to her as a child while she cooked those things. And now you're flooded with all these memories like it's yesterday because it's so powerful. So when we understand this, we understand, well, when we're trying to align or sort of create a bridge between our conscious and our unconscious mind. It is between hierarchies of meaning and memory association. So our hierarchies of meaning are what give form for us to be able to associate memory. Do you get it? Was it hot? Was it cold? Was it this? Was it that? Was I happy? Was I sad? So all of these different ways in which we have structured that information in terms of the psychological structure. Do you sort of get it? So we might have the psychological structure of, you know, take for example, PTSD. Do you sort of get it? I got a psychological structure of experiences where I was threatened to be killed. Do you sort of get it? The hierarchy of meaning for me for that was survival, life and death, and all of that. So, like in any situation that reflects those situations, it's going to associate like the memory of those situations. Do you sort of get it? So, what we're understanding is that when I'm trying to overcome this addiction, when I'm trying to overcome this emotional trauma, I am taking the psychological structure that is all of the descriptive information and all of the descriptive sort of, yeah, information or data, and then I am reclassifying and redefining the meaning of that and reassociating the memory. Do you sort of get it? So rather than the memory being when I was a child being attacked, now it's a new memory that I've created as an adult. Do you sort of get it? So I'm changing the directional path of the synaptic pathway to avoid the trauma. Do you sort of get it? And I let go to it and I let that synaptic pathway die off. Like, do you sort of get it? Well, not so much die off, but like, think of it like this. We've got a certain amount of storage in our brain. So, like, if synaptic pathways aren't being used, like, they'll just be overridden. Like, that's how our brain is wired. That's why, like, new experiences and things like that. Like, we're having, like, when I'm having a new experience, so, like, let's say I go out to Domino's and I get a pizza and it's okay. And then I go to another Domino's and I get a pizza another time and it's amazing. Like, I'm not creating two new synaptic pathways. Like, even though they all exist, do you sort of get it? But it's like that new experience overrides the old experience. The old experience exists, but the new experience is the most recent, current, or predominant synaptic pathway. So the old experience is harder to access. Do you sort of get it? So if you think about that, like, that's all we're doing when we're letting go to our addictions and re-engineering the mind and the synaptic pathways, is that we're just identifying the old triggers and creating synaptic pathways that run around them with new meaning, new psychological, so new psychological structures, new hierarchies of meaning that link to new memory association that allow us to enter different emotional states. And when we're able to do this, what we're able to do is we're now able to artificially create like pathways to emotional states. Do you sort of get it? And when we're able to do that, what we're able to do is we're able to come through and basically redefine the meaning of everything and the description of everything. Do you sort of get it? So, like, for example, alcohol. Like, alcohol makes me dehydrated. That's the only thought I think of when I think of alcohol because I've in engineered it to be that way. Do you sort of see it? But through behavioral conditioning, I've conditioned that to be a reality. So every time I drank alcohol, I focused on how dehydrated I felt. I artificially made myself like I didn't drink as much water to make myself dehydrated. So I felt dehydrated when I drank alcohol. Like, do you sort of get it? And I ingrained that sensation to if I have a sip of alcohol, I feel really dehydrated because my body is conditioned to associate alcohol with dehydration and the exact experience that I had when I was conditioning it. So, to the level I experience in the new conditioning is the level that is invoked in the repetition of the behavior. Do you sort of get it? So, should I try to repeat drinking? It'll just make me feel like dehydrated to where I want to vomit. Do you sort of get it? Like, it's really important to understand this because we're just understanding, like, all we're doing is we're putting a psychological trigger in there. And then we're artificially amplifying that psychological trigger to instead of me drinking alcohol and thinking about how fun it is, I drink alcohol and the first thing I think about is how dehydrated I feel. Like, it naturally rejects any further action within there. Do you sort of get it? So, like, we're just starting to understand this. So, when we look at it in understanding the conscious mind, the unconscious mind, the heart, and the body, and then we're understanding, okay, the what is it, psychological structures, the hierarchies of meaning, and memory association and emotional states, like, we're just starting to see the different levers that we have to pull it. So if I wanted to alter, let's say I went to McDonald's a lot, like, I'm just altering it to rather than me thinking McDonald's is the best place to go and eat, like, I'm just creating a new synaptic pathway around that to a new destination that gets me to that desired emotional state of the feeling I feel when I eat McDonald's. Do you sort of get it? Like that's all we're doing is we're re-engineering that and re-ingraining that in creating sustainable habits over addictive tendencies. All right, well, that'll finish off this one for today, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks so much. Bye.